Good.
So if someone offered you an opportunity to win hundreds or even millions of dollars, you would all take that opportunity, correct? Well, those are the exact kind of opportunities that DraftKings and FanDuel websites offer to people. For those of you who may or may not know, DraftKings and FanDuel are daily fantasy sites where people go and select players to put on their selected teams. In order for the player to win money, however, the athletes have to perform well, and the better they perform, the more money that user will be able to win. Controversy has arisen over this, however, because some people believe that this should be considered gambling rather than games of skill. Therefore, positions are deeply polarized on whether daily fantasy sports should be considered gambling or games of skill. My three inherent issues that I'll talk about today is the 2006 Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act, or the UIGEA, whether these are considered games of skill or chance, and the ultimate impact that they have on people's lives. First off is the 2006 UIEGA. According to the FanDuel website, they believe that they are exempt from all punishments they could possibly receive under the UIEGA, which states that fantasy sports are exempt because they are technically considered games of skill. The UIEGA directly states that no fantasy sports team is based on the current membership of an actual team. And this basically means that because the players you assemble on your team aren't in real life on an actual team themselves, that that is what considers it fantasy. Also, these fantasy games meet criteria under the UIEGA, including number one, that all prizes offered to winning participants are known in advance, and all winnings reflect the skill of the user that plays these games. Some of the cons to this issue are that the creators of the UIEGA never really intended for daily fantasy sports to be a part of this. So, also people often debate on how betting on teams is illegal, but this is betting on players, and it is considered legal. To go along with that, 6 states altogether have banned daily fantasy sports. They are New York, Washington, Montana, Iowa, Arizona, and Louisiana. This leads into my second inherent issue on whether or not these games should be considered games of skill or chance. First off, the pros of this are that knowledge is a huge advantage going into these games, and the FanDuel and DraftKings people state that the more knowledge someone has about these games, the more money, more opportunities they'll have to win. And because these games are considered fantasy, this qualifies them as skillful rather than gambling. Also, there have been known algorithms and equations that people use to select players in order to help them win these games and more money overall. Some of the cons are that New York's Attorney General issued a cease and desist on the basis that these laws rely on chance, that these games rely on chance to a material degree. Jeremy Kudon, a lawyer for the Fantasy Sports Trade Association, directly states, "No matter how skilled a player is, winning or losing almost always comes down to luck." This leads into my third inherent issue, which is the ultimate impact that these games have on people's lives. Some of the pros are that these games are very enjoyable to fans such as myself, and it could be a good stress reliever for those with tough jobs at work and just a fun game for people to play. Also, FanDuel and DraftKings claim that they give out about $137,000 every week on average. That is an average of about 80 cents for every dollar that's put into these games. Some of the cons of this, though, are that if these games aren't used correctly or people aren't very knowledgeable about these, that they could lose everything. Also, some people consider these to be a gateway drug because they're so addicting and to the people that consider them to be gambling. Also, FanDuel and DraftKings stand to make about $2.2 billion this year alone on the entry fees, which is about half of what Las Vegas makes at Nevada. So knowing all these inherent issues, you can see that positions are deeply polarized on whether daily fantasy sports should be considered gambling. This is especially dealing with the 2006 UIEGA, whether these sites should be considered games of skill or chance, and finally, the ultimate impact they have on people's lives. Each side has a reasonable and statistical explanation, so which side would you bet on?
yourself, and what do you think?
I have not played those before because I have like other ones that I do, but I didn't know really much about it before I looked into it. But no, I don't. I might, but I did not.
Do you feel that the states have a legal right to ban them?
I do. I feel like that's their own right, and that, like they said, the Attorney General in New York ceased it, as well as in 5 other states. But yeah, I do believe that it's their right because under the law, I know it says they're legal, but it's kind of a loophole, I guess, in that law.